She was the perfect wife. Until one gaze made her heart race. But the man behind that gaze was her husband's father. Welcome back. Dive into the hidden tales of betrayal with us. Life occasionally throws us unexpected twists that catch us off guard. All is serene and known. Then in an instant, like a flash in a clear sky, everything shifts. Initially subtle, just beyond awareness, it swells with each passing moment, consuming your entire essence. That evening, I felt just as I do now, when Michael, my husband's father, arrived for a visit. I'm Anna, just a regular woman in a quaint Oregon town. Married to Mark, we pour our energy into our 2 children. Our home lies beside the forest, where solitude brings the sensation of trees whispering secrets, ancient and profound. Yet I've come to understand that the true secrets lie not in the depths of the forest, but right beside us, within those we hold dear. Michael showed up unannounced, despite having told us he would come. His rare visits were familiar to us. A man absorbed in his work, stationed in another state, yet he always carves out time for us. That evening, I met him at the door, a vague unease settling in, inexplicable yet palpable. He was usually calm and reserved, yet in that instant, his gaze held something unfamiliar that made me pause. Post-dinner, we gathered in the living room. Mark spoke of work, the children asleep, the fire alone bearing witness to our words. I averted my gaze from Michael, yet his presence enveloped me completely. His gaze felt like an unseen force drawing me in. And though it was absurd, I couldn't ignore the sense that an unspoken game was playing out between us. I aimed to absorb Mark's words, yet each time I looked up, Michael's eyes met mine. It was odd, baffling, yet irresistibly captivating. It was more than curiosity. It was a deeper intrigue, a question of what secrets his reserved smile concealed. Outside, night deepened. Shadows in the room stretched longer. The air shifted, thick with an unnameable tension. That evening felt unique, though I couldn't grasp why just yet. As the chatter faded and Mark proposed we head to our rooms, an unexpected wave of disappointment washed over me. Absurdly, I found myself wanting to linger, to keep experiencing the peculiar allure that enveloped the space. Yet, I simply couldn't permit myself that indulgence. I rose quietly and trailed after my husband, leaving Michael to his solitude. Endless nights stretched on. I lay restless, sleep eluding me as my mind circled back to Michael. His gaze, his serenity lingered in my thoughts. His voice echoed in my mind, unforgettable and haunting. I attempted to rationalize it as mere imagination, a product of fatigue and stress, yet it offered no solace. Within me, a force was awakening, a fearsome truth I dared not speak. The following morning, I attempted to maintain a facade of normalcy. Mark and I shared breakfast, mapped out the day, yet I sensed Michael's gaze probing my mind. A silent game commenced, rules unspoken, yet both players sensed its start. With Mark at work and the kids at school, I found myself alone with Michael. Silence enveloped the house, the wind gently swaying the trees, instilling a feeling of warmth and peace. Household chores demanded my attention, yet my mind wandered back to him. I listened for his footsteps, the sounds he made, and soon realized I was anticipating our meeting. He walked into the kitchen as I scrubbed the dishes. His presence was so intense that a wave of nervousness washed over me. I couldn't look back, yet I felt him close, and my heart raced at the proximity. Anna. His voice pierced the silence and I recoiled. He remained composed, yet an undercurrent in his voice took my breath away. I spun and locked eyes with him. He was nearer than I anticipated, sending a shiver down my spine. His eyes held secrets, hinting at knowledge beyond my grasp. We locked eyes in silence, and in that instant, I understood that our bond had deepened beyond mere familial ties. Words lingered, trapped in my throat. We were so near I could hear his breath, and that feeling consumed me entirely. A tempest stirred within. I sensed a wrongness unfolding, yet I remained powerless to intervene. Each look, each movement from him captivated me, and I realized it was more than mere attraction. It was extraordinary, a slow-burning ember, a fire quietly igniting. Michael looked away, offering me a moment to gather my thoughts, yet I sensed this moment would haunt my memory for ages. As I went about my tasks, his presence lingered, woven into every moment. His gaze, his voice. A storm loomed, unseen yet gripping my focus completely. That day slipped away, and I was left with the sense that something within me had shifted. I understood the peril, yet I was powerless to resist. All felt ordinary, yet within me, a hidden power surged, slowly consuming my very being. All day, I searched for clarity in my emotions, cleaning, cooking, chores meant to distract, yet solitude brought me back to Michael every time. I felt restless, yet the reason eluded me. An unseen net wove around me, constricting tighter with every day that passed. As evening fell and Mark came home from work, I attempted to maintain my usual demeanor. Dinner was shared, filled with casual chatter. Mark discussed work problems while I attempted to focus, but my eyes drifted to Michael, who appeared to feel the unspoken tension between us. His stillness held an air of mystery, as if he awaited my cue. Post-dinner, Mark proposed a walk, but fatigue and overwhelm led me to decline. He shrugged, pressed his lips to my forehead and walked away, leaving me with Michael. The air thickened, a prelude to something brewing, like the calm before chaos. A shiver ran through me as words escaped my grasp. Anna. Michael shattered the stillness, his voice steady yet laced with a subtle urgency that made me recoil. Something about you is different. Is all well? This straightforward question tightened my nerves. I couldn't confess my feelings to him. I didn't grasp them myself. His words, his concern for me, caught me off guard, and more troubling were appealing. Yes, everything is fine, I replied, masking my unease. Feeling a tad weary, Michael remained silent, yet his eyes held on to me for an unusual stretch of time. His gaze held unanswerable questions. We returned to silence, yet it felt comfortable. It brimmed with unspoken tension, each of us poised yet reluctant to act. Eventually, being in the same room with him became intolerable. My heart raced, thoughts tangled. I rose from the sofa, avoiding Michael's gaze, and moved to the door. I'm stepping outside for a breath, I declared without glancing back. Silence lingered as I stepped outside, the cool night air wrapping around me. The forest by our home lay still, a soft breeze whispering through the leaves. Breath held, heart racing, I stepped cautiously along the path, venturing deeper into the forest. Thoughts demanded attention, to grasp the unfolding of my reality. This man, my husband's father, always appeared aloof and remote. Why was I suddenly feeling something for him that I couldn't put into words? These thoughts haunted me, yet offered no insight. I ventured deeper into the woods, seeking clarity in my mind. A small pond emerged, a memory I nearly lost. The water lay dark and motionless, mirroring the night sky dotted with a handful of stars. On a bench by the water, I listened as the wind danced through the tree branches. In this quiet I found my peace. I shut my eyes, letting go of Michael, Mark, and all my worries, if only for a moment. The tranquility vanished swiftly. Footsteps echoed behind me, and tension gripped me instantly. A figure loomed as I opened my eyes. Michael it was. He approached and settled beside me on the bench, silent. His presence stirred my nerves, yet sparked something fresh inside me, an unquenchable spark. We lingered in quietude together. In the stillness, an unseen energy pulsed between us. An electric thrill coursed through me, quickening my heartbeat. Within, two emotions clashed: a pull to depart, and a dread of the unknown if I lingered. Michael turned his head, eyes locking onto mine. In his gaze, I recognized my own emotions. Magnetism, a passion once concealed, now too powerful to dismiss. Silence enveloped him, yet his gaze conveyed a depth beyond speech. I was captivated, rooted in place. We were two magnets, irresistibly pulled together, against all odds. My breath quickened, fear gripping me that he might catch the frantic rhythm of my heart. Fear gripped me then, terrified of losing control. The pull towards him felt overwhelming. I realized that lingering would break my resolve. Yet Michael, aware of my unease, severed the link first. He shifted his eyes to the pond's shadowy surface. The tension faded, yet disappointment lingered. I hoped he'd take the lead, letting our shared spark ignite. Yet, he may have realized the peril involved. "It's serene here," he finally remarked, his tone steady and composed, as if all was well. Absolutely. I nodded, seeking to reclaim my grip, a perfect spot for contemplation. His gaze met mine once more, and I understood this was merely the start of something greater. Amidst the chaos and peril, I sensed that this night was merely the initial flicker before the inevitable blaze. We lingered until the night air turned cold. Last I rose. Michael followed suit. We returned home quietly, our former lives looming ahead. This night had altered everything, I realized. Upon our return, Mark had already drifted off. I slipped under the covers, the chill of the night air from the forest brushing against my skin. I shut my eyes, yet slumber eluded me. I lay still, hearing Mark's soft breaths, contemplating the imminent change ahead. This night signaled a new perilous chapter, one I couldn't escape. My life changed forever, and I could no longer halt what had started. The following morning I awoke, sensing that the night in the forest was not merely a dream but a reality slowly consuming my existence. Everything felt oddly known yet transformed. Thoughts of Michael lingered, memories of us by the pond, enveloped in silence and unspoken desire. His image lingered, a shadow over my mundane efforts. Mark departed for work at dawn, leaving me once more alone with Michael. The day started like any other. With the kids at school, I tackled the cleaning, yet all that surrounded appeared brushed with brighter, bolder hues. With each step Michael took, each glance he cast, an unfamiliar sensation stirred within me. An electric charge hung in the air, impossible to ignore. I spent the entire day dodging him. Alone again, I feared the pond's echoes would call to me, and I'd surrender at last. Still, his footsteps echoed in the adjacent rooms, and that sensation wrapped around me like a heavy mist. As dusk fell and the sun dipped low, his voice echoed from the living room. It seemed serene, yet I sensed a hidden turmoil beneath the surface. I stepped into the room feigning confidence, yet my insides quaked. Michael gazed through the window, eyes fixed on the golden evening sky. He turned his head slightly, sensing my footsteps nearing. "Anna," he murmured, gauging my response to his voice. "Yes," I replied, striving to maintain my composure, though it was growing harder by the moment. He hesitated, and I leaned in, drawn by an irresistible pull. Silence enveloped the room, pierced only by the whisper of the wind, a reminder of the world outside our stillness. I stood beside him, nearer than planned, the air thickening with unspoken tension. Michael turned to me, his eyes locking onto mine. In that instant, I understood I could no longer escape. A flame sparked between us, impossible to douse. His gaze pierced through me, sending a shiver down my spine. "Why are you ignoring me?" he inquired gently, as if he already knew, yet craved my response. I inhaled deeply, attempting to collect my thoughts, but they slipped away like grains of sand. I couldn't deceive him, couldn't act as if all was well. Fear gripped me, and I confessed, my throat tightening. Michael nodded, a slow acknowledgement of my words. He stepped closer, his hand brushing against mine. The caress was delicate, nearly ethereal, yet it ignited a tempest of feelings inside me. Our eyes locked, and I knew I was powerless to fight it any longer. Michael edged nearer, his breath grazing my skin, and I was captivated. In that instant, a fragile boundary lingered, ready to vanish. I was uncertain of the outcome, yet one truth remained clear. Craved it. I desired him. His hand rose, brushing softly against my cheek. The movement was so gentle it sent shivers across my skin. My heart raced, a thunderous echo I feared he might catch. This feeling couldn't be contained any longer. I was consumed entirely. Michael leaned in and everything froze. His eyes deepened with desire, lips inching closer to mine. I realized I needed to pull away, end this. Instead, I stepped closer, sensing his grip firm on my face. At last our lips met. It transcended a mere kiss. It freed me from every constraint, every rule and prohibition. His lips, soft and warm, ignited feelings within me I had never known. A deep instinct warned me, this was wrong, a colossal mistake. In that instant I was powerless to halt. Michael drew me near, his arms encircling me, a desperate attempt to prevent my plunge into the void I had chosen. The kiss lingered, a deep surge of long-buried passion between us. I matched his fervor, feeling his hands glide over me, igniting a surge of longing inside. I recognized the error. This moment was destined to alter everything. In that instant, all I could focus on was my desire for the man before me. As we pulled away, gasping for air, disbelief washed over me at what had just transpired. His kiss left my lips aflame, my heart pounding like I'd sprinted a marathon. We exchanged glances, struggling to comprehend our actions. "Anna," Michael whispered, his voice laced with an unfamiliar uncertainty. "We ought not to." Yet I interrupted him. I understood his truth, yet I couldn't allow this moment to conclude in such a way. I drew him close again, our lips colliding with heightened fervor. The kiss lingered, igniting flames, his arms wrapped around me, trapping me in bliss. Stopping was never an option, even if we wished it. This was the moment we had longed for, yet feared to acknowledge. This kiss promised to alter everything, yet I was powerless to resist. My desire for him intensified. At last, as we parted, the world seemed to shatter around us. Our lives would change forever. This kiss marked a turning point, and I was uncertain of our destination. Yet one certainty remained. There was no turning back. Michael let me go, his gaze a mix of desire and worry. The tension between us was palpable, impossible to overlook. We realized our grave error, yet that awareness couldn't halt the unfolding events. "We need to think," he said. I nodded, speechless. In that silent, tense room, I realized this moment had altered everything. When our lips broke apart, silence enveloped us, thick with tension and unvoiced thoughts. I faced Michael, struggling to understand the recent turn of events. What was once stable and predictable has spiraled into chaos, leaving me lost and unprepared. Michael stepped back, forming an unseen divide between us. His eyes flickered, and I sensed the shared guilt of our past, yet the undeniable attraction lingered. "We need to talk," he finally said, voice soft yet resolute. "This was inevitable, we both understand that." I nodded, a sharp pain constricting within. He was correct. This kiss was never meant to be. Yet it unfolded. Now we both bore that burden of knowledge. I struggled to move forward, acting as if all was well, as if nothing had transpired between us. "Text, I understand," I answered, striving to maintain my composure. "What's next?" His gaze met mine, and I recognized the anguish that mirrored my own torment. He was poised to respond, but then the front door creaked open and our hearts stopped. It was him. He came back sooner than I thought. A chill gripped me, yet I forced a facade of calm. Michael swiftly altered his demeanor, restoring his previous calm. "Anna, I'm home," Mark called, approaching us in the living room. Michael nodded, signaling the end of our conversation, then stepped aside to depart. I stayed put, a tempest of fear and guilt swirling within me. Mark stepped inside, our eyes locked as I masked my feelings. "Hi, darling," he said, approaching and kissing my cheek. "Is all well?" I nodded, speechless. My heart raced, and I worried Mark might notice something amiss. Yet, he appeared oblivious to any signs of trouble. He was lost in his thoughts, recounting tales from his day at work. Michael lingered, absorbing Mark's words, then quietly slipped away, seeking solitude. I saw him go, a knot of pain and fear tightening inside me. What comes next? The night unfolded in an odd ambience. I attempted to maintain my routine, yet my mind continually wandered to Michael. Mark, oblivious, wore a smile at the family's reunion. We enjoyed a film, shared a meal, and discussed everyday life. Yet within, a tempest brewed. As darkness enveloped the world and we settled in, sleep eluded me. Beside Mark, guilt wrapped around me like a heavy shroud. I realized my actions were beyond redemption. I had shattered his trust. Yet the memory of Michael lingered, his kiss, his touch, impossible to erase. It was poison coursing through my veins, denying me peace. I slipped out of bed, careful not to disturb Mark, and exited the room. Solitude was essential, a moment to unravel the chaos of recent events. The porch welcomed me with its cool, fresh night air. Gazing at the night sky, I sought answers to my queries. Yet none existed. An emptiness lingered within, elusive and unfillable. Outside, silence reigned, yet within it, My thoughts echoed loudly. I realized our kiss would lead to inevitable consequences. A line was crossed, impossible to overlook. I faced the choice of how to carry this burden. Time slipped away unnoticed until a sudden touch on my shoulder jolted me back to reality. I turned and spotted Michael. He lingered close, face taut, eyes brimming with concern. "Anna, we need to talk," he murmured, cautious not to shatter the night's stillness. I nodded, understanding that this conversation was unavoidable. We entered the garden, shadows of trees hiding us from view. Michael paused, met my gaze, and my heart raced anew. "This shouldn't have happened," he said, voice quaking with tension. "I can't act like there's no connection between us. I'm lost, Anna. Yet I am certain of one thing. We must acknowledge the shift. We cannot pretend otherwise." These words struck me hard. He was right, yet words eluded me. I stared at him, searching for my next move. On the brink, each step could spell our end. "What shall we do?" I finally asked, dread consuming me. Michael stepped closer, his hand brushing against mine once more. The warmth of the touch belied the uncertainty that gnawed at my core. "I don't know," he whispered, pain lacing his voice. "Yet I am certain of one thing. I won't let you go. Yet I cannot turn against Mark. We must determine our next steps." I was at a loss for words. We knew our actions would alter everything. We could cut our bonds or follow the path that seemed destined. The decision had to be made with care. In the garden we lingered, enveloped by the stillness of night. Emotions swirled within, yet words eluded me, leaving my soul's turmoil unspoken. This moment defined my life. Every decision held weight. "We can't go back," I whispered, my voice finally emerging. "I'm unsure of the next step." Michael nodded in agreement. We found ourselves ensnared in a predicament with no simple escape. In that instant, I understood I couldn't exist without the one before me. Through every challenge and every ache, I felt our bond transcended all boundaries and restrictions. "We'll find a way," Michael declared, determination in his tone. "Honesty is essential, both with one another and within ourselves." I nodded, his words empowering me. Uncertain of the outcome, I understood then that I was prepared to embrace this journey, regardless of the challenges ahead. We went back to the house in silence. Yet deep down, I sensed this dialogue had transformed everything. We had transcended the roles of father-in-law and daughter-in-law. We transformed into an unstoppable force. The following morning, I rose, weighed down by a heavy burden. The events of the past few days, each tense moment with Michael, the kisses, the unavoidable talks, had grown so vivid that I could no longer deny my feelings. Mark departed for work early once more, leaving Michael and me alone in the house. His closeness, our solitude, and the past between us formed an undeniable barrier. After breakfast, I scrubbed the kitchen, seeking distraction, but my thoughts buzzed back, relentless, denying me any peace. Michael felt the same unease. His footsteps echoed in the next room, his gaze lingering on me with each passing moment. With every tick of the clock, the pressure mounted, pushing me to my limits. Eventually, I understood the need to take the initiative. I finally released the feelings I had kept hidden for too long. I tossed the dishcloth into the sink and walked to the living room, where Michael sat on the couch, deep in thought. He glanced up upon my arrival, and I noticed the same flame flickering in his gaze that sparked within me. I edged nearer, my heart pounding in silence. In silence, our eyes conveyed what words never could. In that instant, I realized I could no longer resist this pull. It overpowered me, and I sensed Michael shared that feeling. He rose and I moved closer, our breaths intertwined, a single whisper in the air. His hand on my shoulder, and the world faded away. All rules vanished, all prohibitions ceased. Only passion remained, a fire igniting with each fleeting moment. Michael drew me in, our lips colliding once more, this time free of hesitation. A kiss ignited with longing, a secret no longer contained. I matched the intensity, watching my internal walls fall apart under this overwhelming sensation. His hands roamed my body and warmth washed over me. He kissed me like it was our final chance, and I lost myself in that instant, letting everything else fade away. We understood this moment was unavoidable, that we had long crossed an irretrievable line. He reached out to me, and I felt myself teetering on the edge of something forbidden, yet magnetic. I pulled away before the line could be crossed. This moment belonged to us alone, and I felt invincible. Michael scooped me up, and I clung to his neck as he strode down the hallway to the bedroom. The path to the room stretched on, an eternity, while my body ignited with longing. I longed for our bodies to unite, to finally reveal what we had concealed for ages. In the bedroom, Michael softly placed me on the bed, leaning over me. His eyes blazed with intensity, revealing his readiness to offer me all he possessed. I traced his face, sensing each line and curve, as our kiss intensified, becoming more passionate. He descended upon me. His presence lingered close, the intensity of the moment burning into my memory like an unforgettable spark. I shut my eyes, yielding to the sensations, every nerve in my body igniting beneath his touch. I could no longer contain my emotions. They surged ahead, unstoppable as a torrent. Michael's touch was soft, yet his strength intensified my longing. His hands swept across my body, discovering every curve anew, each kiss and touch erasing all else from my mind. He ascended my body, his lips gliding upward until they found mine once more. This moment, this feeling of oneness eclipsed all else. We stood in silence, bound by a shared emotion too dangerous to name, too deep to dismiss. His arms tightened, body swaying in a quickening rhythm. In that moment, I was prepared to offer him all I possessed, sensing he was reciprocating. We were two flames merging and burning brighter. I unleashed my emotions, and suddenly, the world ignited in vivid hues. It erupted like fireworks, illuminating the sky, then fading into the dark night. Michael arched his head back, and in that instant we both hit a peak beyond reach. After it ended, we lay together breathless, my heart matching his rhythm. We were tied by an unbreakable force. This moment was all we desired, and I realized everything had shifted now. We were quiet, yet the stillness felt comfortable. It brimmed with the intimacy we shared in that instant. I faced Michael, caressed his cheek, and locked eyes with him. In his eyes I glimpsed not just passion, but an unbreakable connection that bound us together. "This can't stay hidden," I murmured, my voice resonating in the stillness around us. Michael nodded. I knew he shared my feelings. There was no turning back. This moment marked the start of a new chapter for us, one that demanded attention. We anticipated tough choices and their repercussions. Yet, in that instant, it was irrelevant. Our togetherness mattered most. Days slipped by since Michael and I fused as one, in body and soul. That moment was our peak, the result of all our efforts. Yet it also signaled the start of a new existence we had to navigate. This act transformed everything. The clarity and peace between us would vanish. We stayed in the same house, yet everything had changed. Mark remained oblivious, heightening the palpable tension around us. Each moment with him felt like a scripted performance, one I never auditioned for. True tension sparked when Michael and I found ourselves alone. These moments brimmed with passion and peril. Our bond was destined to surface. A choice loomed that would alter our lives irrevocably. For now, we clung to each fleeting moment together, as if they were the final breaths of our joy. One night, as silence enveloped the house and Mark slept, I ventured onto the porch to embrace my solitude. The cool night air filled my lungs as I breathed deeply, seeking calm. Michael lingered in my mind, our past together, and the uncertain future ahead. A relentless fire burned within me, impossible to quench. It was more than passion. It was an all-consuming force. I loved Michael, yet I recognized the many problems and complications that came with it. Lost in thought, I suddenly heard footsteps behind me. Michael it was. He approached, his hand brushing my shoulder. The sensation was both known and foreign, causing an involuntary shiver to run through me. I looked at him, and in his gaze I recognized the blend of fervor and unease that mirrored my own. "We can't continue this way," he murmured, almost as if he could sense my inner turmoil. "It's getting perilous, Anna. A decision is needed." He was right, I realized. We could no longer exist in this realm of clandestine gatherings and concealed emotions. A choice was necessary, and it required careful consideration. "What's your recommendation?" I inquired, striving for calm while turmoil raged within. Michael paused, weighing his words. He wrestled with his thoughts, seeking an escape, yet his eyes revealed the hidden anguish. I don't know, he finally admitted, but I can't bear to watch you suffer any longer. Next steps must be determined. Should we reveal the truth to Mark? His words hit me with electric force. His suggestion caught me off guard, yet I grasped the reasoning behind it. Hiding was never an option. How could I confess to Mark what transpired? What would his response be? Thoughts swirled, answers eluded. A chill coursed through me as I whispered, "It will destroy everything." Is this truly the correct way? Michael drew near, his hand brushing my cheek, warmth enveloping me. I don't know, he confessed, the pain evident in his voice. Yet I am certain of one thing. This deception is unbearable. You matter immensely to me. I'd do anything to be by your side, Anna. His words lingered in my mind. I understood his honesty, yet I realized our choice would alter everything. Our old life is now beyond reach. Perhaps that wasn't needed? We lingered in the night's hush, the tension between us palpable. This moment marked a pivotal change in our lives. The path forward was set. I'm done hiding, I declared, my choice made at last. We must tread lightly. I need a moment to reflect on it all. Michael nodded, grasping that my request was not for retreat, but for readiness for the challenges to come. He held me close, his arms a shield against the world. In that instant, I realized I would risk everything to be with him, no matter the fallout. In the days that followed, I sought a way to reveal the truth to Mark. Yet, each time I tried to initiate the dialogue, an unseen force restrained me, a weight pressed down, stifling my breath. I understood the necessity, yet the path eluded me. Michael sensed the tension, yet he held back from pushing me. Our clandestine gatherings persisted, yet they were now tinged with more sorrow than happiness. The moment approached, a decision looming that would alter everything. One day, with the house deserted and Mark away on business, Michael approached me. He appeared serene, yet his eyes revealed a newfound resolve. He came closer, silently grasping my hand and guiding me to the bedroom. I understood his desires. In that instant, I craved it as well. We could wait no more, could no longer conceal our emotions. I trailed behind, a spark of desire flaring inside me. Our moment was here, we had to seize it. Michael shut the bedroom door, and the tension evaporated. He pulled me close, our lips colliding once more in a kiss. This time it was more than desire. It was a determination to unite, against all odds. This moment marked the start of something fresh, impossible to overlook any longer. As we lay on the bed, his hand slipped my clothes away, and I surrendered to the sensation. United, each moment brimmed with fervor and affection. It transcended mere attraction. It was the convergence of two souls, finally united. Michael's birthday unfolded as a serene, intimate night, just the three of us in our home. A sanctuary concealing our deepest secrets. Strange feelings washed over me from the morning. A sense of the inevitable looming, yet I pushed it aside. I needed to concentrate on my strategy. I chose a unique present for Michael. It needed to be more than a mere gesture. It had to reveal the emotions I had concealed for ages. It struck me out of nowhere, and I was compelled to hold on to it. I visited the store, seeking the ideal outfit to express the fervor and thrill within me. The shop brimmed with alluring costumes, yet one caught my gaze. A latex ensemble featuring a daringly short skirt and a mask. It was flawless. Michael would get it all just by seeing me in this outfit. I purchased it, concealed it in my closet, and penned a brief note for Michael, detailing when and where to rendezvous. I tucked the note into his bag, wishing he'd discover it at just the right time. We gathered at the table to celebrate a birthday in the evening. Mark laughed and shared tales, blissfully ignorant of the shadows lurking beneath. Michael appeared serene, yet the same spark flickered in his eyes as in mine. Our secret concealed from all. The dinner unfolded seamlessly, everything aligning perfectly with the plan. Everything shifted when Mark suddenly recalled the important documents he had stashed in Michael's bag. Surprising, yet I brushed it aside. Mark slipped into another room for the documents while I cleared the table, my mind adrift. Moments later, he came back and said, "I have to go urgently for the night." He said, surprisingly calm. "We'll have to postpone our conversation until tomorrow." His words rang like a decree, yet I had no counter. He packed swiftly, kissed my cheek, and departed, leaving me with Michael. Confusion clouded my mind, yet a single truth pierced through. A looming dread awaited us. Once he was gone, the tension within me surged to its highest point. Mark had a plan, but its nature eluded me. Michael and I carried on, yet each look he cast my way revealed a lingering unease. When the house grew quiet, I donned the costume I had ready, and Michael and I made our way to the bedroom. This was our time, and I understood the urgency to seize it now. Upon entering the bedroom, I found Michael already waiting. His eyes sparkled at the sight of me in the costume. I wore something bold, perhaps too bold, as if trying to express a part of myself that had long been buried. A manifestation of our shared emotions. Suddenly, the bedroom door swung open and I froze. Mark lingered in the doorway, his expression a blend of fury and anguish. He remained silent, merely observing the scene that played out before him. "What's happening here?" His voice dripped with menace. Michael leaped from the bed, his expression shifting as the truth loomed large. "You deceived me." Mark lunged, fists flying at Michael. "Hey there, Dad." The strikes unleashed a rage in Mark I had never witnessed. Michael stood his ground, yet it was clear he wished to spare his son from pain. This battle was steeped in agony and disillusionment, signaling the close of all we once understood. At last, Mark shoved Michael, sending him crashing to the ground. I hurried to assist him, but Mark held me back, his gaze seething with animosity. "Leave, both of you." He spoke with an unsettling tranquility. "Our paths should not cross again. Always." Inside, I was unraveling, yet we had no other option. Michael and I departed in silence, forsaking all that we once cherished. We departed under the cover of darkness, as silence enveloped the home, hiding all evidence of what had occurred. Details of packing and my words to Michael escaped me, all merged into a single indistinct smear, as if these moments belonged to another, not me. Two phantoms floating from a broken realm, seeking to flee the irreparable. Michael drove quietly, his expression blank, gaze unwaveringly forward. I searched his eyes for a glimmer of emotion, but all I encountered was a chilling void. Silence enveloped us. No words, no looks, no contact. Words felt superfluous, unnecessary in that instant. We knew it was all different now. We had lost it all: family, home, peace. Only memories lingered, tainted by bitterness that seeped into our very essence, corrupting the last flickers of life within us. We drove endlessly, fleeing the shadows of the past. Yet, even from afar, the burden of those events loomed large, an oppressive weight we couldn't escape. Eventually, I understood that this journey represented our escape, not just from Mark, but from one another too. We understood that the intimacy we once shared was gone forever. A small motel on the town's edge, distant from echoes of the past. The location was so ordinary and dull that it faded into the shadows. Michael slipped from the car and approached the registration desk. I trailed behind him, an empty vessel consumed by a profound, aching sadness. We checked in and ascended to our room, as devoid of life as the structure surrounding it. It served as a fleeting refuge, a place to escape the world. Yet we remained unable to flee from ourselves. At the brink of the void, uncertainty loomed over us. I shut my eyes, seeking slumber, yet it eluded me. The recent days replayed in my mind, each moment a sharp knife piercing my heart. I remembered my last talk with Mark, his words steeped in bitterness and sorrow. Understanding my role in his ruin offered no solace. The weight of guilt was mine to carry, and I felt lost under its strain. As dawn broke, sunlight crept through the curtains. Michael announced his departure for business and exited the room, leaving me behind. His footsteps faded behind the door, and I felt the last thread between us unraveling. Perched on the bed's edge, enveloped in silence, I lingered, uncertain of my next move. The future loomed, cloaked in mist, revealing only void. Days passed in that room, wrapped in a haze of forgetfulness. I stayed indoors, silent and alone, for walls confined me, a refuge turned prison, where solitude deepened my anguish with each passing moment. The image of Mark lingered, his eyes brimming with disappointment and anger. His unforgiveness was a dagger, and the truth of it shattered me. Divorce papers arrived on the third day. I anticipated Mark would file for divorce, yet the speed took me by surprise. He moved swiftly, eager to cut all connections, ensuring no space for uncertainty or remorse. The documents held no sentiment, merely sterile legal jargon devoid of warmth. Yet, alongside them arrived a letter, penned in his script. "Anna, you are erased from my mind. I never want to see you or him again. We're done. Move on as I will." Those words struck me deeper than anything ever could. A sharp crack echoed in my chest. Mark was gone from my life for good. This marked the conclusion, absolute and unchangeable. Now I stood utterly alone, bereft of all that had once mattered. Michael came back that evening, yet the bond we once shared had vanished. He seemed far away, wrapped in his own mind, and I held back my inquiries. We shared the same void, yet our fractures kept us from lifting one another. We shared a space, yet our pain isolated us. As days went by, Michael's absences grew more frequent, leaving me increasingly solitary. He left without a word, and I stayed silent. A barrier was rising, pushing us apart more and more. I realized our bond was shattered, yet I struggled to accept that he was gone as well. Every day reflected the one before. I drifted through the room, a restless spirit seeking solace. Alone and lost, I found no refuge or solace. Michael and I were no longer the lovers we once were. We were mere shadows, linked by our mutual suffering and remorse. I started to understand this was just a fleeting escape, and eventually Michael would be gone. He had to leave, couldn't endure this nightmare any longer. I noticed his growing distance, realizing our paths would soon diverge for good. That night, acceptance shattered something within me. Everything I cherished was gone. Family, home, love. Alone I stood, facing nothing but void. Once the divorce papers arrived, a weight settled between Michael and me, an unmistakable sense of irreversible loss. A dense fog wrapped around us, severing the ties of passion and intimacy that once united us. As days went by, our bond became increasingly delicate, resembling brittle ice ready to break into countless fragments. We remained in the same motel, our temporary refuge, yet it now felt only cold and empty. Michael often departed for work, leaving me solitary. These business trips were merely his way of fleeing reality, a burden of responsibility he could no longer shoulder. With every passing moment, his departures stretched into eternity. He came back late, weary and grumpy, making no effort to mask his aloofness. A barrier loomed, rising ever higher, an unyielding divide with each day that passed. We ceased to discuss the future, and our thoughts and feelings remained unshared. The once unbreakable bond was quietly unraveling. I sought to grasp Michael's turmoil, yet he kept me at bay. His silence grew intolerable. Loneliness enveloped me, a darkness consuming all hope of escape. At times I waited for him, yearning for a hint of lingering connection. Yet with every return, he grew more distant, and I understood that these hopes were futile. One evening, after Michael departed once more, I found myself alone in the room, enveloped by a suffocating silence. I could not remain here, unable to endure the chill and void any longer. I stepped outside, craving a breath of fresh air. Yet even amidst the trees and whispering wind, solace eluded me. A profound, overwhelming void engulfed me. Upon my return, emptiness greeted me. Michael was still absent. I waited on the bed for him, yet as time slipped away, the hours crawled by in torturous suspense. I started to realize he was gone for good. This revelation struck me hard. I lost him just like I lost everything else. Days slipped by, and Michael remained absent. The room turned into a cage, trapping me in his absence. I existed in anticipation, ears tuned to the noises beyond the door, yearning for the echo of his steps. Yet silence lingered, and with each day hope faded like snow under the sun's gaze. One day I stepped outside to search for Michael. I visited every spot we shared, yet there was no sign of him anywhere. He disappeared, leaving me in a soulless realm haunted by memories. Upon my return to the motel, a letter awaited me on the table. His words, penned with precision and assurance, struck me down. Apologies, Anna. This can't go on. We have taken different routes. We can't be together. What we had is now just a memory. Farewell. The letter held my gaze, disbelief washing over me. This was the conclusion I dreaded, yet it arrived all the same. Alone utterly and forever. Every aspiration, vision, and scheme, in a heartbeat, all was lost. I had no choice but to embrace this truth. The room I occupied now seemed alien. I could not remain here, not among memories that brought only suffering. I gathered my memories and departed the motel, never glancing back. I wandered aimlessly through the streets. The world felt as hollow and frigid as my own heart. Everything that mattered was gone. All I could do was move forward wherever my steps led. A few days later, I discovered a tiny apartment across town. I rented it, seeking a fresh start. Yet each morning brought a wave of emptiness. The past tormented me, denying me solace. I drifted, a specter in a realm that had lost its warmth. A long road stretched before me, a journey toward acceptance, a quest to rediscover myself in this new reality. Despite my losses, I had to summon the strength to persevere. Time dragged on, yet the ache lingered. Every day dragged on, a relentless torment with no escape. Mornings greeted me with emptiness, a feeling that lingered until nightfall. Trapped in a fog, I couldn't see the light that once guided me. Once Michael departed, I remained in the tiny apartment I had leased in a different area of the city. The apartment was small, nearly suffocating, yet to me it seemed vast. It held no echoes of my past, no traces of the home I had shattered myself. A fresh start, yet each day unfolded fresh agonies. My mind swirled with thoughts of my actions. My life became a relentless loop of regret and self-blame. I broke my family, betrayed my greatest love, and ruined a sacred bond. The guilt clung to me, an unyielding shadow. At times I'd sit on the bed, pondering how my life could have unfolded with different choices. If I had only paused at the start, had I fought my cravings, if I had stayed true to Mark. Yet those thoughts proved pointless. Reality stood firm, unyielding to my wishes. Each time I stepped outside, the transformation of the world enveloped me. As they walked past, oblivious, I felt the weight of my disconnection from this world. Once I was lost in my own existence, devoid of the significance that once mattered. I sought a job to escape my thoughts, yet it offered no solace. Each morning I ventured out in search of work, yet I failed to secure any position. All felt futile and I lacked the will to go on. Isolation and hopelessness lingered by my side. One evening, after a long day of searching, I felt a fracture within me. On the floor, knees hugged tight, tears fell. My cheeks were wet with unstoppable tears. A deluge swept away my struggle to survive. I wept endlessly, seeking to purge my emotions, yet found no solace. Starting anew proved more challenging than I imagined. Every effort to create something fresh crumbled under the weight of remorse and shame. Regret consumed me for my actions. I had shattered my life and the lives of those I cherished. The weight of that truth was crushing. Nightmares jolted me awake once more. In my dreams, Mark and Michael emerged, their faces etched with pain and disappointment. They turned, walked away, leaving me in the dark. These dreams felt so vivid that I awoke in a scream, my heart constricted by fear and yearning. Alone in my apartment, I felt a shift was necessary. I could not endure this any longer. Finding a path to release the past, embrace my errors, and advance was essential. Yet it proved more challenging in practice. I chose to reach out for assistance. I scheduled a session with a therapist, seeking clarity on my emotions and the resilience to carry on. Initial sessions proved challenging. Discussing the events brought a surge of anguish to my heart. Slowly, I started to reveal myself. I shared my fears, the loss of everything, the weight of this burden on my soul. The therapist showed me that while the past is unchangeable, I can learn to navigate its aftermath. She revealed that my yearning for a fresh start was the initial move toward recovery. To progress, I needed to embrace self-forgiveness, no matter how unattainable it felt. The journey was arduous and excruciating. I replayed my errors endlessly, seeking the courage to forgive myself for my actions. There were moments I nearly surrendered, believing I lacked the strength to carry on. Yet at times a flicker of hope emerged, a tiny beam piercing the gloom. Gradually, I observed transformations. The pain lingered, yet its edge dulled. I started to realize my past need not dictate my future. Learning from mistakes can forge strength. The journey was tough and healing took time, yet I pressed on. Each day, I moved closer to a fresh beginning. I landed a job at a quaint cafe, where my history remained a secret. This place turned into my sanctuary, a brief escape from my troubles. Joy emerged in the morning light, the aroma of fresh coffee, and the smiles of customers. These fleeting instances fueled my perseverance. I understood I couldn't change the past, but I could strive for a better future. I sought the courage to not only exist but to trust others once more, to embrace new experiences. Each day brought a shift within me, a subtle transformation that wasn't easy to embrace. I came to understand that transforming my life need not be a race. The journey unfolded slowly, demanding both patience and resolve. I came to value every moment, despite the pain it brought. I realized it's not merely about our existence, but about learning to coexist with our actions. Ultimately, I discovered inner peace. I acknowledged my errors and discovered the courage to advance. The past lingered within, yet it no longer shaped my whole existence. I began to glimpse a distant light, a beacon of hope for a brighter tomorrow. Errors are inherent to being human. We all err, and at times the fallout can be catastrophic. A single error took it all away. Chasing my passions, I overlooked what was essential, resulting in the loss of all I cherished. In chasing more, I lost sight of what was already mine. I turned against my loved ones and shattered my own existence. In hindsight, my error lay not in loving but in surrendering control of my life. Treasure what you possess. Don't let your cravings obscure your vision of what truly counts. Passion drives us, yet misdirected, it can yield dire outcomes. I'd alter my course if I could, but time's unyielding. All that's left is to glean wisdom from my missteps. May my tale offer you a valuable lesson. Avoid my past errors. Guard your treasures. Let not your cravings ruin all.